What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again. And of course, we've got Ian, Millsy, as always, on the Mondays. How are you, bud? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Just saying off air to yourself and the Blue Boys Network legend, John himself, just saying it's nice and hot today. So I might even get a bottle of beer in the garden, depending on how this show goes. How are you, Mike?
Yeah, mate, I'm all good. John's already been on the vodka today, apparently. Already on it. And of course, we welcome back John. I don't know how regular John is going to be on the channel, but he rang me up on Saturday and he basically begged to come back. He begged. Proper begged. He was giving it the big and he was like, look, the missus has approved. I'm ready to come back, Mike. I miss it. Can I come back? And I said, look, John, I'm more than happy for you to come on like once a month or something like that.
Yeah, once a season.
Yeah, that's it. John, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm getting there. You?
Yeah, I'm all right. You got over COVID?
Yeah, last day of isolation today. Got a bit of symptoms still. I'm probably going to come down with long COVID, I think, but nothing too bad. So hopefully I'm over the worst.
Yeah, well, you can't tell because you look like you've put 2.5 stone on since you were last on the channel.
Brilliant. As I said before, I'll never catch you.
Brilliant. Right, let's talk about some of the transfers we've been linked with that have sort of come out of the blue. Millsy, first and foremost, Begovic, are you happy? Not happy? What are your thoughts?
I'm happy that we're not spending money on a backup goalkeeper, and I probably said the opposite last summer. I think, as we touched on last week, I think I was really wanting Jordan Pickford to not only be pushed last summer, but to be replaced. I don't feel that this summer. So for me, an adequate number 2 is someone like a Begovic, someone who's not going to rock the boat, someone who can hopefully play 3 or 4 times in a season, a couple of those being the cup games in the early stages, and not do any damage. I think that's all you need from a backup goalkeeper. The problem that we may have is touch wood, it doesn't happen, is if we lose Jordan Pickford for whatever reason for a long spell next season. I think if we're relying on Asmir Begovic for 3 months, I don't know the answer would be any different then. It possibly would be. But as it stands now in black and white, Asmir Begovic as a backup goalkeeper, cost on Everton Football Club, no money at all. I'm all for it.
Yeah, John, what's your take?
Well, I totally agree with Millsy there. You know, at the end of the day, Michael, 34 for the goalkeeper. Yeah, all right, he's 34, but goalkeepers can play a lot later than what, you know, a lot of players can in a lot of positions. If you look at Nigel Martin, if you look at Neville Southall, you know, if you look at them sort of keepers, you know, the keeper at Man United as well, De Gea, you know, he's not getting any younger. So, as Millsy quite rightly says, what cash we've got, you know, if you look at the deals that are in the pipeline at the minute, not costing a lot, you know, and with Bernard off the books as well, it'll probably go a long way to paying for these three players that are coming in. Jordan Pickford's impressed me, as Millsy's just said there. You know, last season, you know, he was hot and cold, Pickford, and he's had a fantastic Euros. Started to get a bit worried, Michael. You know, I think we all knew that it was pretty obvious that he had some sort of help, you know, with his mental health issues and stuff like that. And since he come back from Christmas, after that, he's been absolutely fantastic, and he's made a lot of Everton fans eat humble pie. Jordan Pickford, he had a fantastic Euros. So it's a good number 2. You know, we had Robert Olsen, who we thought had pushed Pickford last season, and I tend to think if Ancelotti probably would have stayed, we probably would have went and got Olsen in on a permanent deal, you know, because he'd done nothing wrong when he come in, Olsen. You know, he really done well. I think he's on the move again. So for me, Begovic, 34 years of age, played in the Premier League, you know, was it near enough and ever present last season for Bournemouth. So it's a good backup for me, you know, and hopefully we won't need to use him much. But as Millsy quite rightly says, you know, he may come in for the early stages of the cup games. If anything happens to Pickford, he's a good understudy. So have no problem with bringing someone in like that, you know, low fee if we have to pay anything, low wage. So, yeah, it's the right move, you know, and listen, he's not gonna push Pickford for the number 1 spot. I think we all know that, but he's a good understudy.
I personally think this is quite a decent signing because, you know, I remember Begovic even say 5 years ago. Now, I appreciate, look, he has 5 years older, but he was always a very respected Premier League proven goalkeeper. Like, I rated Begovic at one point really highly, and I think he went to Chelsea or somewhere like that, and Begovic is someone that I think is more than an able deputy if we need it. And if he plays 10 times this season at 35 grand a week, which is mad to say that, but he's probably going to be fairly happy on that. You know, he's probably going to be fairly comfortable. He knows he's not going to be needed that much. He knows he's not going to be tested massively in terms of having to play loads of Premier League games unless Jordan Pickford gets injured. Touch wood, he doesn't. And it does sort of help Jordan and even the younger lads. You know, we've got Virginia, who is not necessarily pulling up loads of trees, but again, he's a number 3 for a reason. And Begovic might just be able to put an arm around him and just say, look, this is my Premier League experience. This is what you need to work on. And he might be able to do that in some capacity with Jordan as well. So it's certainly not a bad deal for me. Low wage, as you say, John. You know, if Bernard's on 130 to 150 grand a week, including all the bonuses that they get, etc., I'm not being funny. He's what, a fifth of that, maybe a fourth of that in terms of salary. I'll take it all day. Let's move on to another position we've been heavily linked with all of a sudden. Like this one come out of the blue as well, and that's the outstanding Crystal Palace winger, Andros Townsend. I mean, there was me when I read the headline, Crystal Palace winger. I thought, right, we finally done it. It looks like Zaha's coming in. You know, we're finally going to push the boat, etc. And yeah, it's Andros Townsend. What's your thoughts on that, then, lads?
Go on, John.
Well, the thing is, Michael, at the end of the day, I've seen Everton fans all over Twitter slagging these 3 transfers off that we're bringing in. At the end of the day, Michael, we're a mid-team table. We're not in Europe. What do these fans expect? You know, we tried it with James, and the only reason why we got James was because of Carlo Ancelotti. We'll never attract players like that unless we've got the manager in the ilk of Carlo Ancelotti. So they're not going to start every week. If we do spend some sort of money on the likes of Dumfries, we've been linked with Leon Bailey. Apparently, we want another centre forward, a centre back on loan. You know, these players are getting brought in. Many times I said last season, Michael, we've got 2 goalkeepers on the bench. We couldn't fill the bench. So we're making the squad better now. And this is the thing. At the end of the day, you say to me, who would you have, Iwobi, Andros Townsend or Demarai Gray? Demarai Gray and Andros Townsend, for me, are far better than Iwobi. So it's an improvement in the squad. Yet they won't play every week. They're not the sort of players we want to be bringing in. We want big names. We want to go and splash the money, but we can't. You know, we can't. And as I said to our lead this morning on the phone, and I think I've said to you as well, Michael, Everton are so rich, but we can't spend it. And this goes back to the Steve Walsh days, financial fair play. You know, a lot of teams all over the world now, Paris Saint-Germain for the perfect example, you know, financial fair play only tends to matter to certain teams, you know, and Everton could easily go out and pay the fine, but it's the points deduction that Everton can't afford. That's why we're going for these sort of players now. So for me, Andros Townsend's not going to play 38 games in the league, but he's better than Iwobi and he's better than Bernard. Yeah. So I get it. He's not the big name signing we all want. Again, we've been linked with Leon Bailey again today, you know, so maybe that's where the cash is going to go. 25 million on Dumfries, bring Leon Bailey, and he's not going to be cheap. He's 23 years of age. But I think what Rafa's doing, I think he's sorting out the squad side of it first. And then any money that we have left from the likes of your Bernard going and your other players who are up for sale, you know, your Gomez, if he goes, that's where we can then start splashing the cash on bigger names. Listen, we're not going to go out and spend 40, 50, 60 million pound on players. Yeah. But Andros Townsend, Demarai Gray, Begovic, they improved the squad. And I think that's what he's doing first. And then we see where we are after that. But for me, it's a no-brainer. You know, England's international. Seen a goal he scored yesterday. I think it was against Manchester City. What he will do, and I think what we're seeing now with Rafa, with these players, he knows we lack pace. You look at Demarai Gray, you look at Andros Townsend, they're fast, they will take people on. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if he does, you know, team up with Andros Townsend and Demarai Gray over the season, that's the service he needs, because he doesn't get the service off of Iwobi what a number 9 needs.
No. The best word you said there for me, John, was squad. And I think the timing of these signings, we have to look at these signings at the end of the window for me, because if we'd signed a Leon Bailey and a Koulibaly now and then brought in these players at the end of the window, we'd say, what a window, brilliant. We've nailed the 2 positions we need players for, and now we're padding out the squad. I'd like to think we're doing it the other way around, that's all. We all know we've got limited funds at the minute. FFP is hurting us. We have to get rid of some players now. We all know here that's easier said than done. That squad is not fit for purpose. There's 4 or 5 players for me that you'd keep, and the rest I couldn't care less about. They could walk, they could go and find different clubs. And I imagine the hierarchy, and even Rafa Benitez, they know that already. They know that. So I'm not too fussed about these signings at all. If someone said to me, the window's going to close tomorrow, and they're your only signings, yes, I'd be quite worried, and I'd say, God, how have we got into this again? But I don't think we can really answer that question until the end of the window. Let's see where we are. I've got no problem with being at Goodison and 0-0, and we bring both of those players on for the last 20 minutes to run our teams and provide a different outlet. I've got no problem at all. If that's their role next season for me, I'll take that all day.
At the end of the day, Demarai Gray was at Leicester when he won the league. He's 25 years of age. He's still got a lot to offer. He's still got a lot to learn. As I seen on Twitter yesterday, years ago, if you would have been linked with Demarai Gray for £1.5 million, Everton fans would have been going, fucking get him. If Demarai Gray goes to somebody else, we all know what Everton fans are like. We're the same as them, do you know what I mean? We're never, ever happy. But if Demarai Gray goes somewhere for £1.5 million in January when he went to Galatasaray, I don't think it was 1.5 million then, Everton fans would have been like, fucking hell, how are they getting in? Why can't we go after players like that? Now we're linked with them. They're all fucking pissed off. A lot of Everton fans tend to forget we're a mid-table team. We're not playing in European competition. What the fuck do we do? At the end of the day, I think Rafa can come in. We've all seen the training videos. He's working them hard. If he can get an extra 10% out of the other players, and we bring these 3 players in with a couple of, good big name additions, it's not a bad squad. I think a lot of the downfall that we all know last season was the players not being fit, not wanting to play for the Everton shirt. Rafa won't put up with that. When he's seen it already, he's been there for 2 weeks, and we're on the verge of signing 3 players. So he's looked at it. We all know we need pace. He's probably being told by Brandon Ferguson there's no pace in the team. Straight away, he goes out and gets Andros Townsend and Demarai Gray, who are fast. So, this is what we can do. That's all we can do.
I think I'm certainly more excited about Demarai Gray than I am Townsend. I've never been against Townsend. I actually think he's a very direct winger. He can beat someone with pace and he'll deliver a ball. It's exactly what we need, really. We've got them runs in from James, whether he's here or not, he's still to be debated. But we've certainly got the runs of Richarlison. He's not going to leave now after he's been allowed to go to an Olympics and we've backed him, etc. So we'll have the runs into the box of Richarlison. The way that Rafa tended to play was he would always have a central midfielder sort of box to box running into the box, which will allow someone like Demarai to run in. So these crosses, whether they go front post, back post, 6-yard box, 18-yard line, there's going to be someone in a blue shirt to knock it in. It could be an incredibly exciting signing, actually, but it's very underplayed because it's Andros Townsend and not Wilfried Zaha or Leon Bailey at the minute, etc. The thing with Demarai Gray as well, so just to give my opinion on Demarai Gray. Firstly, Demarai Gray was born and raised 2 minutes away from my house. Like, I know Demarai Gray's aunt. And, he is someone who, as a young lad, just wanted to play football, wanted to develop. But more importantly, he wanted to learn. And we're signing a player for 1.5 million, 2 million euros, somewhere in that ballpark, that hasn't finished developing yet. He went to Leicester very young. He played for Birmingham City very long. 2017, we had a 21-year-old Demarai Gray being linked with Manchester United, Chelsea, and again, us, for around £15 million. If we can get him anywhere near the player he's possibly going to be running into, we're going to get a kid in his prime at an absolute snip on a 2-year deal with the option to extend to a 3rd. And if we can support his development and support him going forward and his mentality and everything he wants to achieve in football, he will return the favour. He will work his arse off to get into this Everton team consistently. Maybe Leicester didn't work out for him, but I'm telling you now, I would put my balls on the line and say Demarai Gray is going to be a good signing for Everton. like a good signing.
No, I was just going to say, you know, we've had this in the past, Michael, when we've brought players in from like lower leagues or they haven't done it in the Premier League. You know, I mean, look at Tim Cahill. We signed him from Millwall and everyone was like, Tim Cahill, what are we getting him for? You know, it worked out. You know, this could be another one. I remember years and years and years ago, you know, you probably won't remember this, Michael. Paul Bracewell, everyone was like, fucking hell. What are we getting Paul Bracewell for? He's fucking shit. What a fucking player he turns out to be. That team in the 85, you know, from 85 when we were winning things, people were turning the nose up at the likes of Andy Gray, oh, he's a fucking crock, and signing players who were 32 and all that. It does work. The player has to feel the fit. And you know, there's players in the Everton team now who don't get Everton. Namely, probably Moise Kean. You know, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. Demarai Gray, as you say rightly, he will want to come and prove himself. You know, you've got the World Cup next season. The likes of players who are 25 years of age, getting another chance in the Premier League, they will want to be in that squad. I'm not going to say he's going to be in the squad, you know, ahead of the current squad, because the current squad's probably one of the best I've seen. But he has something to aim for. He has something to, you know, go into training every day and work for, and he'll want a chance. And Rafa Benitez does get the best out of players, Michael. We know that. He hasn't been lied to. He knows the situation with the club, as Mills, he said before. Financial fair play is not a great thing at the minute. A lot of teams struggle in this window. A lot of teams are going to struggle in this window in the current situation, the current climate. But the way I look at it, it's an improvement on the squad. If you look at the players who we have in the squad now, and the players we're bringing in, they're better than them. And that's all we can ask for. We're a mid-table team. We haven't won a trophy since 1995. We don't play in European competitions. It's the best we can do.
No, I agree. And you look what you said there, Mike, 1.5 million with a 2 or 3 year contract, maybe an option to extend it. Are we really going to be it down shit street with no paddle off this transfer deal? No chance at all. I mean, you're going to get someone in, and if it doesn't work, all you do is you sell them next year for £1 million. There's no risk on this for me.
No
like
loss.
I said before, exactly. No risk, no loss. It could come in and he could work. He could be a great winger for us. And like you said there, he could look at getting in that England squad and going, this is my chance now. I'm 25. I've got to nail this down. And if he doesn't, see ya to Burnley for £1 million. No loss.
Could be another Aaron Lennon, couldn't it? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, the ball's in his court now, isn't it? You know what I mean? He's, as you said, Millsy, 25 years of age. He's at that point now where he's developing to become the player he's going to be. If he doesn't do it now in the Premier League, he never will. So it's his big chance. Let's hope he takes it with both hands, because it's what we need. Someone like that, direct, fast, can whip the balls in. You know, I'm not saying Andros Townsend isn't, you know, developed to what he's going to be, because we know what we get with Andros Townsend. I think Demarai Gray will play more than him. But it improves the squad.
Let's talk about some of the players that could be potentially leaving as well, and some of the links that we've sort of heard about recently. Looks like Bernard. I don't even think Bernard training, never known getting into any of the games, one being against Blackburn, the other being against Accrington Stanley, where Everton have won 3-0 and 1-0 respectively. Bernard going, huge wages. I suspect it'll be a very nominal fee. But that's good news, because although he was a very creative player, you know, he's got the ability to be creative. I never felt that his physicality would suit the Premier League. Certainly not now. What do you think?
I mean, for me, Bernard's always been a player that I've liked. I think Everton do play better football with those type of players in the team. When you look in black and white at Bernard's Everton career, he's not pulled up any trees. He's not scored enough goals. He's not been on the end of enough, you know, assists that have got goals for us. He's not even been a man of the match on more than for 5 fingers. Has he been man of the match more than 5 times in 3 years? I don't think so. I think he's easy on the eye, and he's a player that would probably fit into another good team. He'd be a squad player at a really good team and come on and play 8 or 9 games. For a team who, as John says, a mid-table, you'd expect a lot more. For me, he's not going to be the biggest loss. I've heard that he's dragged his feet for a while and leaving the club because he's the highest paid player. He came from Shakhtar on a free transfer and he wrote his own deal on transfer deadline day, and the output that we've got from hasn't really been great. For me, it's no big loss. How can you miss someone that you don't really see? Did he start 3 or 4 games last season? How can you miss that? If someone said to me now, look, you can lose James Rodriguez or you can lose Bernard. It's, there's no option at all. It's got to be Bernard.
And John, I know you echo that, but moving on to another player that's been linked with a move away is Yerry Mina. And I wanted to come on to you with Yerry Mina because me and you had a debate about Michael Keane and Yerry Mina. We both agreed Yerry Mina is a better centre-half than Michael Keane. I think me and you agreed with that last week as well, Mills.
Definitely.
Why are we trying to get Mina off the books? Why is he linked with a move away and not Michael Keane?
Because I think one of the things that Michael Keane signed another contract more recently than Yerry Mina for one. I imagine Yerry Mina's on more money as well. For me, Yerry Mina gives me more confidence than Michael Keane. Yet he can be erratic sometimes. He reminds me of Joseph Yobo. But I feel more secure and safe when Yerry Mina's in the team. Play Yerry Mina alongside Ben Godfrey before Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey every day of the week for me. Definitely. If it was up to me, Michael Keane would go before Yerry Mina. I don't know why. You're asking me the question, why is it Yerry Mina before Michael Keane? I can't answer that because for me it's a strange one. He's dangerous on dead ball situations when we have a corner. For me, he reads the game better. He's bigger in stature. He'll bring the ball out. I feel safer when he's bringing the ball out from the back than what I do with Michael Keane. He gets in the way more for the through balls that the opposition tries to play. And I'm not being funny. As I've just said, if you look at the stature in both players, Yerry Mina, Ben Godfrey is like a brick wall for me. They're tough to get past. Both different sorts of players. Ben Godfrey for me is future captain of Everton Football Club. He's absolutely fantastic. He's mustered that kid. When Rafa come in, I did read something. He will be an absolute godsend, Rafa, for Ben Godfrey. He will make Ben Godfrey even better because that's what Rafa does with defenders. That's how he does. He works with that back line and then he moves up. Maybe he thinks because of the age thing, he will probably get more out of the likes of Ben Godfrey pairing him with someone who's more experienced with Michael Keane than what he will playing with Yerry Mina. So I think that's probably why you're seeing all these rumours of Yerry Mina going, listen, I don't want Yerry Mina to go. As I said, I'd rather Michael Keane go. Nothing against Michael Keane, but for the football side of it, put Yerry Mina in the team every day of the week before Michael Keane for me.
Definitely. He's more of an asset though, isn't he? So at the minute, we're talking FFP, we're talking, we have to sell to buy unless something happens where Usmanev sponsors St. Luke's Church or something, we've got to now sell to buy. So you're looking at selling your assets. If you're on a car boot sale and you put Michael Keane or Yerry Mina there, who's taking Yerry Mina on? Most saleable asset is what you're going to sell and get money for. I don't think you'd get a lot of money for Michael Keane. I really don't. I think we paid 25 million for him 4 years ago. I think he'd get 15 million. And I think Yerry Mina would get a 3 in front of his transfer fee. I'd like to see a 30 million for Yerry Mina. And if Rafa can go and get a Leon Bailey or a winger, and then we can bring in, maybe a Coutinho on loan or something with that money, it makes Everton better. And I'm like you, John. I'm a big Yerry Mina fan. I think he's naturally our best centre-half at the minute. Ben Godfrey will lap him eventually. You can see it happening. But today, I think Yerry Mina is Everton's best centre-half. I don't want to lose him, but I think it's all about stripping our assets now and what you can get for them. And he's at the top of the assets. I
think what Everton are doing is they're looking at the squad and they're looking at the players we have at our disposal. And I think they're looking at it and saying, well, what players do we really, really, really need to keep here? But which players can we let go for money? And as you say there, Yerry Mina will bring a lot more money in. The way I look at it there, Millsy, I was thinking about it when you were talking then. If Yerry Mina's up for grabs and Michael Keane's up for grabs, you're going to have clubs coming in from abroad for Yerry Mina. You don't get that with Michael Keane.
Absolutely.
I think Michael Keane was linked with Tottenham at some point last season. I think he was also linked with Burnley. You're not going to get the likes of Yerry Mina linked with the likes of Burnley. So for me, it's saleable assets. We're not short in the defensive part of the team. Let's be honest about it. We've got Godfrey there, we've got Keane, we've got Mina, we've got Luca Dean, we've got Seamus Coleman. Probably going to bring a right back in. We've also got John Joe Kenny there. For me, it's not the urgent part of the team that needs touching. But when you look at the rest of the squad compared to Yerry Mina brings money in. Yeah. And I think that's probably what Everton are looking at, how we can bring it in. He will be a big loss, but I think he can be replaced with a loan signing at centre-half. And I think that's what Everton are looking at. Saleable asset, as you say, more than some of the other centre-halves we've got at the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just a shame that we're in this mess. And obviously, going back 4 or 5 years, Steve Walsh, Koeman, Sam Allardyce, even Marco Silva, Brands is equally not exempt from a bit of blame here with signings like Iwobi, etc., and Fabian Delph, albeit Fabian Delph was slightly different. Everton is almost a rebuilding process. It's almost a rebuilding process.
We said this, Michael, when we were having the conversation. Everyone goes on about Steve Walsh and Ronald Koeman took us back 5 years. It's 2 years since that, or whatever it is, 2-3 years. This isn't the end of Everton sort of struggling to spend money, and it's not the end of bringing the likes of your Andros Townsend in or your Begovic's. It's not the end of it. We're going to have to get used to this for another couple of years, yeah. What Everton have got on their side, Michael, is a lot of the players who are up for sale now. I think we've all seen the list, 6, 7 players or whatever it is. If they don't go, their contracts end at the end of next season. So that, that frees up. So I don't think we'll be in this situation as much next summer. But I still don't see us going out and spending 40, 50, 60 million pounds on 2 or 3 players. This is what it is now for the next 2 or 3 years, unfortunately. I think each window will get better. I think it won't be as bad financial fair play. But until we've got these players off the wage bill and financial players relaxed, or we balance the books and we get the sponsorship deals in for the new ground, unfortunately, this is what it's going to be like. And I think we just have to learn to live with it for the next 2 or 3 years, because there's nothing we can do about it. We've been put in this situation with Steve Walsh and Ronald Koeman coming in. As you quite rightly say, Michael, Marcel Brands hasn't helped himself. We can sit here now and go through the players Marcel Brands has brought in. You can probably count on one hand where you could go, fucking hell, that's worked out, or what a signing that was. He's bought some shit. And, all the way through this, as you say, Michael, he doesn't go without blame Marcel Brands. The buck stops with him. He's the director of football. Don't like the title director of football. For me, I prefer Everton just to have the manager and just to run everything, because how can, Marcel Brands didn't want Rafa Benitez, so how are they going to work together? It's going to be interesting. They have to agree on things, but this is the way it's going to go. And I think, in maybe next year, the end of the season after, that's when Everton will probably start pushing for Europe. But unfortunately, this is the predicament we're in, and that sounds negative, but you have to look at it. You can't sugarcoat it anymore. We've been put in this situation with past chairman, past directors of football, Steve Walsh and the people who were going out to buy these players, and they've put us in a fucking right shithole. They have, and I think we're just going to have to learn to live with it. Each season will get better. As we said before, going back to Demarai Gray's 25 years of age, if he hits the ground running and pulls up so many fucking trees, he has a sell-on value. Unfortunately, at the minute, if you look at Everton, not many players with that sell-on value anymore.
Well, let's talk about where the money might get spent then. The little money that we may have available. Everton have been heavily linked with Denzel Dumfries. We've obviously seen him at the World Cup, at the Euros. He scored a goal. I think he got a couple of assists. He's a very creative right winger, right back. Defensively, at times he can get caught. Millsy, what's your thoughts on Dumfries? And obviously, as well, we've also been linked with Leon Bailey earlier today. If you want to chip in with that one as well.
I mean, Bailey would be the one for me that would excite me. It's just a shame now that the fact that we need a right back has came at the same time as we're hampered by FFP, because I'd love this to happen 2 years ago where you go, we've got Seamus Coleman for 2 more years, we're fine. We're now in a situation where any money we bring in, we might have to go and spend it on a right back and yes, it is a pressing area. We do need a better right back, but for me, Everton Football Club need match winners. There's 2 or 3 match winners in that team, and one of them plays half a season. So you need match winners. How many times did we have home games last season where you're just thinking, God, if you had someone in the middle of the park who could run at teams, shoot or do a 1-2 or have some sort of aggression and creativity, we'd beat Aston Villa, we'd beat Fulham, we'd beat Sheffield United, you'd finish 5th, FFP goes away. So for me, we need match winners. I understand, yes, we do need a right back. And Dumfries looks good. He looked good for Holland. I think Holland playing more advanced than what PSV do. I think PSV are more cautious with him and he plays more in a back four. And defensively, I've read that he can be found out and that doesn't fill me with any sort of joy. But if we can add any sort of, goals to this team, that's what we need to do. And if Dumfries can get you 5 or 6 goals, similar to what Seamus Coleman did 4 or 5 years ago for Everton, then that does improve us. But for me, yes, in short, we do need a right back. It's really sad that we've come to the point where any money that we do bring in might have to go on the right back because we need players who can win games for Everton Football Club. I'm not so sure a right back is the position that does that.
I was going to mention, John, just while we're there, obviously we do have 2 right backs now, which is Seamus Coleman and, of course, John Joe Kenny. What's going to happen with John Joe Kenny then, boys? Is he off? Where's he going? Is it going to be another loan? Are we going to get some money for him?
I think if Carlo Ancelotti's still manager of Everton Football Club, John Joe Kenny's gone. I think he's gone. Rafa's come in and give them all a chance. We've seen him in training, John Joe Kenny. He played on Saturday against Blackburn. Does Rafa give him another chance? Possibly. But is he good enough to step ahead in front of Seamus Coleman? No. Is Seamus Coleman the player he was? No. Are you going to get 38 games a season out of Seamus Coleman in the league? No. But as Millsy's just said there, the way Rafa plays, can we get by with having John Joe Kenny and Seamus Coleman, and go and win games 4-3? Because for me, there's more. Right back's a pressing area. It's a really pressing area. But I also think the reason why we've struggled down there as well is because of the wingers that they've had in front of them. Mm. If you're Seamus Coleman or John Joe Kenny and you've got fucking Alex Iwobi in front of you, it doesn't really fill you with confidence. If we bring a Leon Bailey in, or we've got one of the new wingers in front of you, they can help out as well. So Dumfries, for me, for £25 million is a snip in the footballing world these days. If we can get him in, there's £25 million of our budget gone. The only way we're going to bring that £25 million in is by getting players the likes of Bernard off the wage bill, because we can't just go out and spend nothing. We can't. We know that. It has to be generated. Would I spend £25 million on Dumfries? Yes, I would. Depends on how many other players go. Then depends if we can bring a couple of loan signings in or more low wage earners who you get for 5-10 million on a free or what have you. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting. I know you mentioned before about Coutinho, Millsy. Coutinho, Rafa knows him. He's played in the Premier League. Is Coutinho better than Sigurdsson? Yes. Is he better than Tom Davies? Yes. Coutinho comes in. Is that another loan deal? The loan market is going to be so active this season, not just for Everton, for the majority of the Premier League teams. All right, you've got your Manchester City, your financial fair play doesn't fucking matter to them, does it? Because, you'll get the Arab owners go and sponsor a bog for fucking 300 million quid. It doesn't matter to them. But we're not in that position. So loan deals, low wage earners that come in, but also when we've got the cash, we have to spend it wisely. We have to get players in for the positions that's really, really needed. And we see where we go from there. Coutinho, if he comes in, he'll probably be alone. We'll probably get a centre-back in if Yeri goes. And for me, we need a centre-forward as well. We need backup for centre-forward.
Yeah, we do.
Last point. And I'm conscious that John speaks so fucking much. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's like listening to a fucking record going over and over again on fucking repeat. I can't stand listening to him. The soft twat. No, I'm joking. Millsy, Moyes Keane. Now, obviously, I'm mentioning Moyes Keane because John's just said we need a second striker. Moyes Keane started against Blackburn, and to be fair to him, He popped a few shots off. He seemed to be creating. He certainly seemed to try a little bit more than he might have in the past. Do you still think we need a second striker? Do you think he's leaving? And what do you think's happening?
I think he'll leave. I think we're going to be ins and outs. We're going to be a deadline day club this summer. And I think that's going to go to the wire. Moise Keane scored 2 goals for Everton last season. Don't forget. He didn't celebrate either. He's not been happy here for a while. It was highlighted when Duncan took him off at Old Trafford. It was highlighted as unhappiness there. Carlo didn't really fancy him. I think he played him on the last game against Bournemouth where he scored, and then he didn't start him in the following season. He's not been happy for a while. If I was Moise Keane, I'd want out of Everton Football Club. He's got no loyalty to us. He's a young Italian kid who's been happy over in Paris. He obviously wants to go back there and play football. What I do hope, lads, is that we don't get our kecks pulled down here by PSG. I'd hate to go to deadline day and find out that Moise Keane has been loaned out with no obligation to buy. The only way we should loan Moise Keane out is if there's an obligation to buy, and then we can maybe spend that loan fee on bringing Coutinho in, and then we use that fee in 12 months' time to buy Coutinho if he's a success. That's the only way that Moise Keane leaves Everton for me, if it was my decision anyway. If he stays, I don't know what we're going to get out of him, because he's not looked happy for a long time. He's not been someone who came on in the second half of the 1920 season and worked hard and ran the flanks and looked for that goal. He's not looked happy for a long time. I don't know if you can keep or carry a player like that. And if we do keep him and his value goes down again, who loses out long term? It's us. I think there will come a point in the window where we have to be sensible, get PSG back to the table, and start the talks again and say you can loan him if you do X, Y, and Z. But if we keep him, I can't see what you'd get from him, because he blatantly doesn't want to be here, John, does he?
Do you know what, Millsy? You've took the words out of my mouth. Everything you've said there. You know, Michael knows this himself. I was unsure about Moise Keane, and Michael was one of them. Like a lot of Evertonians, where give him a chance. But you can see, you can see if it's going to work or if it's not with a Premier League player. For me, I said it practically from day one. Michael will back me up on that. Just couldn't see it. The PSG situation with Everton, I think it's going to be who bites first. As you say, it could go down to deadline day. Will Everton need the money that much to get him off the wage bill if PSG pay all his wages? He's probably not on massive wages, probably £40,000, £50,000 a week. You know, it will be who bites first. And then, as you said there, Millsy, do you know, if Everton don't give in, what Moise Keane do you get? Doesn't want to be there. You know yourself, I've done it. You know, we've all been in a job that we haven't liked. You don't give 100% if you don't want to be there. You don't. At the end of the day, the boy's still getting paid his fucking wages, so he's not asked. He's not going to get sacked. Whereas if that was us, we get sacked because we're not performing. He's not bothered. He doesn't want to be at Everton Football Club. It will be down to who bites first. Do you ever see Moise Keane being at Everton come the first game of the season? Probably, yeah. I probably do, because I think Everton will drag it out and drag it out and drag it out. Maybe Everton will have to lower their asking fee if PSG want him again, because I don't get another loan, as you say, Millsy. I just don't see the point in another loan. I just don't see the point in another loan. If we loan him out, PSG have won, and Everton have had the kecks down, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough, lads. I mean, I've really struggled with Moise Keane, because I didn't want another Lookman situation where I rated Lookman and Sam Allardyce never played him. In my opinion, he probably had a bad attitude because he wasn't played, certainly on the wing, over players like Klassen at the time, which, I mean, what the fuck's that about?
Dark days, then.
Do you get what I mean? So I sort of... I thought Moise Keane should have been given more chances. However, the argument is always, well, you don't see him in training, Mike. You know, you don't see him. And I get that. I understand that. And I respect that, because these managers are paid millions of pounds, whereas I am paid nothing to talk about Everton. So I get it. I'm really interested to see what he does in the next 3 pre-season games. You know, we play Menelos. I think then potentially we play Arsenal or Inter Milan. I can't quite remember how it works, this tournament in Florida. But he's going to have games that fans are going to be able to watch, rather than just these ones behind closed doors and only a select few fans get to watch, or the highlights get put on YouTube, etc., whatever. You'll get to see it, and it will just be interesting to see what he plays like, if he's trying to build a relationship, whether he celebrates if he scores a goal. But you are right. If he's not interested in Everton Football Club, then yeah, he's got to go. And my opinion is probably that he isn't interested in Everton Football Club. I'm just not quite there on completely shutting the door yet, and that's why the next 3 weeks are critical, because if not, as Millsy, you rightly say, he goes on deadline day. If we get a £10 million loan fee, and even if there's an obligation or not to buy, we've earned £15 million out of Moise Kean, who's on a 5-year deal, in 2 years in loans. It's not the end of the world, is it?
No, but then you're at the crossroads where if he goes at 5 o'clock on deadline day, where does that leave us? Because we've seen last season when Demarai Calvert-Lewin was injured and you played Sigurdsson as the false 9, you tried to play James as the false 9, and I think it worked at Wolves. It didn't work other times, so he absolutely needs help, Demarai Calvert-Lewin. And if Moise Kean isn't the man for it, then we've got to go and find some help for him. Got to, especially start of the season, no Richarlison. And who knows where we are with James Rodriguez. We absolutely need some help for him next season. Yeah.
We definitely need an attacking player from the front three, across the front three, whether it's a loan deal, if Moise Kean goes. We can't let Moise Kean go, as you say, Millsy, 5 o'clock deadline day. No chance to bring anyone in. You know, I think it's quite obvious. I won't say it's, madly obvious, but does James want to be there? So you've got James, you've got Moise Kean. They don't want to be playing for the football club. It leaves you short. It leaves you short. The attitude will be off. As you say there, Millsy, if Richarlison gets injured or Dominic Calvert-Lewin gets injured, we're looking at midfielders then to push up. Yeah. We had midfielders last season getting brought in when Moise Kean was there and he wasn't getting given a chance. Playing in front of him. Yeah. As Michael says, we don't see him in training. But, there's been a couple of managers now who haven't bothered with him, not give him a chance. He's not doing something right. He's not showing his arse, and for me, I think if we can get the money in, just bite the bullet with Moise Kean and move on.
Fair enough, lads, fair enough. Either from either of you, is there anything you want to say to the audience,
I'm sorry that this show has been so negative. This is the second week running, mate, that we've had such a doom and gloom show. But it's freedom day. Get down the strippers and cheer yourself up.
That's it. Go and see some titties.
I'm looking at one right now.
Yeah, so am I. I'm looking at you as well, you fucking porky cheek bastard. Look, I'll tell you what, John, you went off, put some timber on it, yeah?
Not really, no.
No, you have. You fucking have. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna find a still from your last video you did on the channel, and a still of this one now, and look at the difference. Fucking hell, Mills is kissing the screen there. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
So did I freeze there? Did I? Sorry, I wasn't kissing the screen. I was quite shocked by how harsh you're being on John.
He's always the same, Millsy.
You're aging like a fine wine, my friends. You look beautiful.
47 this year. Look at him.
You can fucking tell. You can
fuck off. Your fucking beard doesn't moan with me age. Fucking put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Oh, yeah, you smoke my pipe. Right, guys, we're leaving it there. Have a really good Monday. It's been a pleasure as always. Millsy, I'll see you next week. John, I'll never come on the channel again. Like, I'm just going fuck off. Fuck off.
Be careful. I'm seeing you a week Friday. Be careful.
Yeah, brilliant. I can't wait to fucking drown you in the Mersey. Right, I'll tell you what, you drown in the Mersey now, that's it, I'm fucked. Right, guys, peace.
Cheers, folks.